What's up, Glads? Welcome back to Gladiators TV, a series where we're not only sharing results of major tournaments apparently, but also telling you awesome stories of awesome people and just general events that happen in the tennis industry.
Of course, guys, this is like a very serious, like a TV channel, you know, like no jokes over here. There's like BBC, and right afterwards there's us.
There's
you know?
us, yeah.
Because here, that's why we have many programs. It's not going to be only results or something. We're going to try to variate stuff, making it interesting. So yeah.
But talking about the results that we were doing of the Australian Open, we were planning to cover every round, but that's not gonna happen, as you might have noticed, because we got some copyright issues and whatnot. So before we, until we resolve that series is on pause a little bit. But today we have an even more interesting story for you guys. Story of a guy who went from cleaning boats to playing in Australian Open in 1 year.
Well, year and a half, but it's still a bit impressive. I'm not saying that it's not impressive, but it was a year and a half. Anyway, we're talking about Christopher O'Connell.
Christopher O'Connell, an Australian tennis player born in Sydney. So let's get into his story. That is very interesting. So he won his first ATP point at the age of 16. Arik, how old are you?
I'm at the age where, like, age is just a number. I'm your age, okay? So don't start.
Yeah, and we don't. And he won his ATP point at the age of 16. Got 3 wildcards to 3 futures, passed a main draw round in one of them. By the way, for those who don't know how you know the ranking system works and the ATP work, you have to pass the qualifying and then pass one round in main draw. Okay, so you have to pass 2 or 3 qualifying rounds and then 1 in main draw. All right. So he ends the 2011 being 1,745, which is pretty much 1 ATP point. The next year gets a wildcard to a qualifying of a challenger, which is, you know, a step above, and you know, obviously he just started playing futures, not gonna do too good, loses in the first round of qualifying. But then goes to Japan, passes the whole qualifying and passes another round in main draw, gets another ATP point. So you'd think, all right, the guy is starting off pretty well, you know, starting to put some matches down, winning a few points and whatnot. And then what happens? Well, an injury comes. An injury that he has had before, but it comes back and ruins the plans for him. He's out of tennis for 15 months, but actually 2 years, because in October of 2013 he does play a tournament, but he has to retire in the second round of qualifying. I'm assuming it had something to do with the back problem. I don't know, but I guess so. His actual comeback happens in 2014. During the 2 years that he's been out, almost 2 years, you know, he starts living a normal life, you know, hanging out with friends, because tennis players don't do that, you know, they just court, tennis, whatever. And yeah, he was pretty much ready to give up, but then his father sort of, you know, was like, dude, you're good, you know, you still have like a career ahead of you, so keep going. So in 2014, he gets a wild card to a qualifying of a challenger, but this time he passes the qualifying and reaches quarters in a challenger. That same year he gets his first ITF futures title in Croatia. Arik, could you explain the difference between a challenger and a futures?
Yeah. Well, futures is like the lowest level tournament where you can already get an ATP point, and challenger is like the next step after that, you know. And now that I talked already way too much, it's back to Grisha.
Okay, so gets to the quarterfinals of a challenger, gets his first ITF futures title, then does two more semifinals in futures that same year, and then gets a wildcard to a challenger, but loses in the first round, and then plays the next week of the same challenger. This time doesn't get a wildcard, passes the qualifying, and still loses in the first round of main draw. 2015 comes, starts a little rough, losing in Sydney against Kukushkin in qualifying, and then also loses in another qualifying in Tasmania on a challenger, and then, you know, doesn't start off too well. However, then he does 2 quarterfinals on a challenger and 3 semis on futures. You know, relatively okay-ish results. Ends 2015 being 567 in the world. By the way, that year, at some point he stopped playing, but not because of injuries or something. But because he was tired of his parents paying for his traveling expenses, so what does he do? Goes to work at a clothing shop to earn up some cash and then get back on the tour.
Yeah, well, sadly, we kind of understand him, no? Like, when your parents pay for everything, like, it's on one way it's like, oh, cool, you know, I have these parents that help me, but on the other side it's like he wasn't like too young already, and he wanted to, you know, give something back, you know.
Yeah.
Even though he was doing good, no, he was like winning matches.
Like it's a little worse for us because we're not winning matches, you know.
But anyway, like he wasn't economically, at least he wasn't getting anything back, so it was like mentally it's tough to keep on playing while you know that your parents are just just spending money and not getting anything back. But anyway, so well done by him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and still then 2016 comes, which is a pretty breakthrough year for the guy. Starts the year off by winning the first tournament that he plays, the first futures that he plays, and then ends the year by winning a tournament, the last tournament that he plays, and then in between he wins 3 more futures, so 5 futures in total. Very, very, very good. That year he's mainly competing in Europe, and he played 82 matches, week after week after week. On one of the challengers that he plays, he loses against Laszlo Jerry in first round. That information is important for the future. Now, this kind of strategy of completely wearing out your body and playing every single freaking tournament that you can every week brings him to the 237th position in the ATP ranking. What happens afterwards? Arik, tell us.
Yeah, I was talking a lot now, so finally, by all that good effort of, thanks to all that good effort of 2016, in 2017 he qualifies finally for Sydney International, which was his debut in a main draw of an ATP Tour level tournament.
Which is the step up from a challenger.
Yeah. Anyway, he loses there on the... You don't have the talent, sorry. He loses on the first round of that tournament, but nothing happens because, well, new experience or whatever. And then he gets a wild card for Australian Open for the first time, and that was his debut on a Grand Slam, alright? Loses on the first round against Dimitrov, but Dimitrov, first of all, is Dimitrov, and second of all, at the time, Dimitrov was the 15th in the world, so, you know, like, he was playing good, So, not the worst results once more. Then he plays more challengers, he gets back to the Challenger Tour, and he plays many tournaments in Australia, Europe and USA, but the results weren't the best, let's say. Until in October, he finally does a great tournament by reaching to the semi-finals of Fairfield.
Where?
How can you not understand my American accent, please? Fairfield. California. Alright, in California, by reaching to semi-finals, that helps him to finish the year in 393rd place, you know, so good results. But at the end of 2017 he gets pneumonia, which is like a long problem, which, well, you know, disturbed him to breathe and play, of course, as well. And
because, you know, breathing is important in tennis.
Yeah, and not for living in general, but anyway, like, it disturbed him, and of course, well, he was saying that he would play like for 15 minutes or something, and then he would have to sleep for 2 hours, you know. That's something cute if you're a koala, you know, to sleep so much, but if you're a human being, that's a bit worrying. But if that problem wasn't enough, at the beginning of 2018 he gets knee tendonitis.
We have a medical expert here, by the way, Arik.
That's why I'm reading every fucking letter, you know, tendonitis. Anyway, a serious injury, and that injury led him to stop playing for 6 months. What does a tennis player do if he stops playing tennis?
I don't know, coaches or does nothing, I don't know.
Of course. And of course he did boat cleaning. He cleaned boats, I don't know. His explanation was, he was explaining so much that even though he knew that he could do much more in tennis, he was so frustrated and tired of all those continuous injuries that he preferred to stay very far from tennis, you know, not step on a tennis court. He didn't want to see a tennis court, not even for training, or he didn't even wanted to coach.
Yeah.
You know, So it's like, even though he would gain much more money by coaching than by cleaning boats, because cleaning boats isn't the best paid job.
And once again, something we can sort of relate to, not to that level, but you know, sometimes you do get a little bit too frustrated with tennis. You know, you get tired of it, and you don't want to see the tennis court, the racket, the tennis ball. It happens to all of us. You know, not only the ones who actually compete at those levels. You know.
Yeah. Well, plus, and for example, if that happens because you're now winning matches, you're like, all right, you know, I'm not that good.
Yeah.
It's fine. But the guy is like fighting. And he's playing good, but he can't do it because of injury. So it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And sadly, even though we love tennis, sometimes tennis doesn't love us. No, on the other side, that happens when.
Yeah.
You know, even though you're doing everything correctly, sometimes it's just hard to achieve stuff in tennis, in the tennis world. So yeah. So 2018 happens that, but at the end he starts to train and stuff, and
in 2019. So let's just get ourselves in the shoes of Christopher for a second, okay? Beginning of 2017, you're 19 positions away from entering top 200, and then certain events happen that you have absolutely no control over, that bring you back to position 1177. Okay, so that's 1,000 positions down. And that's how you start off 2019. And what does the guy do? Gets 4 wildcards to 2 250s and then 2 challengers. Loses in the first rounds of qualies of both 250s. Passes it around in main draw on one of the challengers and then loses first round on the other one of the challengers. Which is, you would say, okay, that's a pretty bad start, isn't it? But what he does afterwards, there's so much respect from us and just from everyone in the tennis community. He starts absolutely crushing futures and challenger tournaments. Okay, the guy plays 27 tournaments and wins 5 of them. 3 of them being futures and 2 of them being challengers. Then also gets to the final of 7 futures and 2 challengers. And all of that is happening consecutively. First of all, this is like absolutely crazy, okay guys? 5 tournaments, 5 titles, and then 9 finals in total. That's insane. And that everything is happening consecutively, week after week after week, okay? He rarely does any breaks, and whenever he does break, he stops for a week, you know, at most. And then he gets back to it, grinding and competing and winning over and over and over again. And just so you understand, although he's winning all these matches, which is absolutely crazy, he's still struggling with money, okay? So he's still struggling with hospitality, food, and transportation. You know, future system of distributing prize money isn't exactly the most generous one, you know, quite the opposite. And then with challengers it does get a little bit better, but still nothing too crazy.
No, like tennis world, when it comes to prize money, isn't the most fair one, let's say, you know. There's a lot of difference between like one tournament and then suddenly you get a lot of money in the other one, but the gap is, anyway, it's an interesting subject, this thing,
very
but
much.
So I don't want us to, you know, change our like subject. So if you're interested in this, like how the money distribution or prize monies, all that work in the tennis world, just leave a comment and for sure we'll do a video on that if you're interested.
Yes. So he's still forced to, you know, save up as much money as he can. He's not living in the best hotels. Let alone that, he's buying breakfast in supermarkets, eating them in the hotel room instead of actually eating proper breakfast, which is, you know, quite normal. Even we do that when we travel to futures. That's what we do because it's just cheap. And then he has to travel using trains and buses instead of planes because they are cheaper. So he ends the year, probably one of the best professional years for him, winning $80,000 of prize money, which you think, oh, that's pretty decent, but guys, around 65,000 of that goes to the traveling expenses. Okay, so he's left with like 15K, which is not exactly ideal, you'd say. That year, he plays whopping 108 matches, okay, and wins 82 of them. Guys, this is crazy numbers. And just so you kind of get like, you know, an understanding, a comparison, Novak Djokovic, you know him, right? Novak Djokovic,
sadly, I know.
That same year, Novak Djokovic played 69 matches, okay. And then Daniil Medvedev, who was absolutely everywhere, everyone was like, yo, Medvedev is winning a lot, he's playing a lot, played 80 matches and won 59 of them. I'm not saying that's little, that's still absolutely crazy. But, and that's obviously a different level, right? It's a way higher above level, but That doesn't mean that O'Connell struggled less. Quite the opposite, actually. I'd say O'Connell struggled way more than those guys because, he wasn't traveling on private jets and first classes and staying in 5-star GL hotels. He was freaking eating breakfast that he bought in the supermarket, in his hotel room, and was really actually struggling. So I'd say it's more of an achievement, I'd say. Okay. And then what happened?
Then 2020 comes along, and in January he reaches to a quarterfinal of Bendigo Challenger. In this tournament, thanks to that achievement, he gets another wild card for Australian Open, where he gets, well, not too lucky, because he meets in the first round with Rublev. And he loses again on the first round, but Rublev at the time, first of all, they played a 4th set match, so it was a tough match. And second of all, Rublev wasn't losing any match.
Literally.
Like, in that time, he didn't lose a match. The only match he lost, it was in that tournament much later on against Zverev.
And I think he came from winning 2 tournaments in a row, so it was a pretty good streak.
Yeah, so anyway, not a bad result for O'Connell. And by that very tough, hurtful, sad loss. Well, yeah, for that tough loss. Anyway, he got only for playing Australian Open, he got $63,000. Considering that he gained during all the year, you said last year he got like 80.
Around 80.
Yeah, so he's not complaining,
Yeah,
like
for
him it's still good. Yeah. So anyway, that happens, and in February he reaches to semifinals in Durbanville. You saw
Best pronunciation.
All right, and after that, our favorite COVID comes along and shuts down everything related to tennis. Or world.
Yeah, in general.
Anyway, everything stops. But after that, in US Open, on the first round, his first win of a Grand Slam was against Laszlo Djere. Somebody told you about that guy.
That's why I wasn't
remembering all that.
Just a revenge.
No, this revenge is not bad.
It's
like
really
losing against somebody in a random, well, not random, but like not important, like far futures or something, and then winning him when it really a bit matters, in a Grand Slam.
Right.
So a good first win.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thanks to all that stuff that he did in that year, he finished 2020 by being 120 in the world. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Highest at that point, I think that was his best ranking for now.
Yeah, and then 2021, he plays. He gets another wild card for Australian Open, where he wins Struff in the first round, and then loses on the second one against Albot. So, another win, Grand Slam, so not bad. Good. Then another Grand Slam that gives him a wild card. This time it's French Open, where he loses on the first round against Tommy Paul. I like how wild cards are raining on him all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I noticed that as well. But the thing is,
he really deserves it.
Absolutely.
He deserves
but what I did notice is that whenever he gets a wild card, he doesn't perform that well.
Yeah.
The guy has to struggle through life in order to achieve good results.
So he doesn't want wild card.
Yeah. Complains when he gets one.
But anyway, finally, the first tournament after that where he qualifies actually for a Grand Slam is Wimbledon. Well, here he passes quali.
Yeah.
And reaches to the first round of the main draw, where he loses one more time. Very lucky, he meets Monfils
on grass in Wimbledon.
Yeah, so bad luck anyway, but he played well by passing quali and all that. Afterwards, in July, in Atlanta, he does a tournament which wasn't too bad. First of all, he wins Sinner. That was his first win over a top 30 player.
Yeah.
In the world. So a good achievement. But apart from that, he does his first ATP Tour level quarterfinals. So two good achievements. After that, he plays Saint-Tropez. Saint-Tropez.
Once again, incredible pronunciation and accent.
I'm a world citizen, as they say. Saint-Tropez. Anyway, he reaches final there. And by all those achievements, he finished the year being 175. After that, like, this year still didn't...
Has just started.
Yeah, didn't pass a lot of time in this year, but it wasn't a problem for O'Connell as he already did some good results.
Absolutely. Once again, gets a wild card to the main draw of Australian Open that's going on right now. And first round beats Hugo Gaston, who's seeded on the tournament, which was already for me, I was like, oh, nice,
right.
you know, when I saw that in the draw. Then beats a guy called Diego Schwartzman in straight sets. Okay, Diego Schwartzman in straight sets, like a fighter, we all know, right? Not easy sets, you know, 7-6, 6-4, 6-4, but still straight sets.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately for us, loses in the third round against Maxime Cressy, which is not performing bad lately.
No, not performing bad. Like, before the Australian Open, he did finals and just lost against Nadal. So, yeah, not the worst result.
Right.
And then he won in this tournament, he won Isner in 5 sets, you know. So, yeah, the guy was playing good. So, overall, like, it's not a bad result to lose against Cressy.
No, but just considering that he beat, like, Gaston and
that's
Schwartzman,
already
I was
incredible.
like, you know.
No, and Schwartzman, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is like his story that is very, like, how you say, motivating for everybody, in my opinion, or, you know, like, gives hopes, you know, because it's like whatever happens, if you still hang on there and try one more time,
absolutely.
maybe you get to something. So it's a good story, it's a good lesson to...
Yeah, just motivational, you know, sort of. Absolutely.
Are we motivated? Tomorrow we're playing, all right.
No, I was looking through all these scores and all these results, and I'm like, we are playing. We got to start playing futures, you know, because okay. So what's our prediction for the guy? Just
well, micro prediction.
We're
not like something, but anyway,
just an assumption. Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna keep going and keep doing these results?
My opinion, he may, no, like,
Absolutely,
mentally he seems stable. Yeah. So
mentally, he seems incredibly stable because after all that he's been through, you know.
Yeah. Because a lot of players just reach the top and then they have, not a lot of, but some of them during the history we had, no, that they reach something and then there's a drop.
But it's not about this guy, you know. If injuries don't keep following him because they love him so much, I think he can achieve really good results.
Yeah. That's why. So without injuries, the guy is good.
Right.
So this is it. Well, just the only thing is, this is not important, but I'm just gonna say that, you know, our team is not the worst, because Kuzey from our team, Kuzey Çekirge,
he played on the first round in a futures against the guy, lost, but still, you know, like 6-3, 6-4, 6-4, 6-3, I think it was. And yeah, that was actually the first tournament of 2019 that he won that year, of that breakthrough year. So yeah,
and Kuzey still did a good match, like a tough match against him. So, what does that mean?
That means that the conclusion of this whole podcast is that
we can beat him. No. All right. No. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching.
Christopher, hit us up if you want a match. All right, let us know.
Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of stories and stuff, we will be very
type
happy
of content.
to.
It's a lot of fun actually to make it,
and it's interesting. It's an exploration even for us. You know? So guys, thank you for watching.
Subscribe. And follow us on Instagram. As well. You know, we have an Instagram, which is some cool posts there. We hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.